Tails. Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. SportsGrid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize.
We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on SportsGrid.
Stack enough wins to avoid a brutal matchup path, and when Giannis gets back full burst, they got to get him back on the floor and back on the floor healthy. The Bucs season won't be defined by the games Giannis misses. It'll be defined whether Milwaukee protects him from himself and gets him back in April if he's still a part of the team.
Pro basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
David Tyree.
Oh, wow.
The 2008 Giants win against the New England Patriots and the Tyree catch of the Plaxico Burst game-winning touchdown. That was the only other time in Super Bowl history where the betting public won money.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Time to rise and grind on the early line on the SportsGrid Network on a Tuesday here, one step closer to Super Bowl Sunday in a game between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots, but a lot of other stuff we're going to touch on today, which includes James Harden skipping a couple games and finding out, he wants to be traded from the Clippers. Gotta love the life of an NBA player. And how about those Kansas Jayhawks going on the road and taking down Texas Tech last night? That and much more. We are getting you ready for Super Bowl 60 right here on the grid in style. Donnie Rightside, Joe Ranieri. The time is now. Let's have some fun.
Let's do it, Donnie. I mean, the countdown has begun, right, to Santa Clara. We got one football game left, but we got a whole lot else going on with Olympics and, of course, the NBA All-Star Game. Donnie, let's not forget that. It's getting more interesting by the minute.
All-Star game, trade deadline, Giannis where he's going, James Harden to Cleveland. Could it be at this point? It's time to fill up that cup of coffee, get the hottest topic of the day delivered by Joe Ranieri.
Well, Donnie, let's talk about the NBA All-Star Game, a game in which should not happen in any way, shape, or form here, but it just got a little more interesting here, Donnie. Why? Well, apparently the NBA petty police are out in full force, and this time they brought a badge and a whistle because yesterday we learned from NBA insider Brian Windhorst, he dropped a report that is absolutely hilarious because according to Windhorst, people around the league believe Kawhi Leonard was actually snubbed from the All-Star game, not because of his play, but because as punishment for the aspiration scandal. Now, you remember that, right, Donnie? The alleged fake company, tree-hugging company that the Clippers set up to funnel millions to Kawhi outside the salary cap? Well, apparently the NBA coaches who vote on the reserves decided to take matters into their own hands, Donnie. They looked at Kawhi and said, no All-Star for you, Mr. Tree Hugger. Now, I have to appreciate the pettiness here, Donnie. I really do. But let's look at the facts. Kawhi Leonard is having arguably the best statistical season of his career. The man is a monster, 27.7 points per game, a career high. He's leading the NBA in steals. He's leading the NBA in free throw percentage. The Clippers started 6-21 on the season. And because of Kawhi and only Kawhi, They have been the hottest team in the league for the last 2 months and are right back in the playoff hunt. But he doesn't make this team. Meanwhile, LeBron James, who is 41 years old and missed the first month and a half of the season, he gets a spot. Pascal Siakam makes it on a team with 13 wins to this point, Donnie. Are you kidding me right now? Now, the coaches are apparently sending a very clear message. They're acting like the NFL Hall of Fame vote snub on Belichick. They are ignoring the stats to settle a score. And the best part, the All-Star game is being played in Kawhi's home arena. So imagine hosting the party and not inviting the guy who actually owns the house. But here is where it gets real interesting. Keep in mind, if somebody is to get injured, Donnie, or can't play in this game, and let's be honest, it's the NBA, somebody is going to come up with an injury before this. Adam Silver has to handpick the replacement. So now the commissioner is in a box. Does he pick the guy currently under investigation for the most blatant salary cap circumvention in history? Or does he override the coach's pettiness? Boy, I hope he's in that position, Donnie, because nothing says NBA drama like Adam Silver forcing the coaches to coach a guy they tried to banish from this weekend. The NBA, Donnie, is a soap opera, and suddenly the NBA All-Star game just got a little more interesting.
Absolutely it did, and also include this as well. When you take a look at the NBA All-Star Game, us as the fans, we don't even know what's actually happening at the All-Star Game or what type of player format or how you can actually win the All-Star Game, let alone who's playing in the All-Star Game. Congratulations to the NBA. And again, trade deadline coming up. We'll talk about that just a little bit later. Let's get to the early lineup on a Tuesday morning, which includes the New York Giants. Ooh, they're really happy. They got their coach of the future, but they're now getting hit with a scandal. Named 440 times amongst the emails to Jeffrey Epstein. That was co-owner Steve Tisch. Never a good look for the NFL when you're in this type of publicity.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I don't think we're going to hear from Steve Tisch anytime soon, nor do I think we're going to hear anything about the Giants organization. They will be distancing themselves. Maybe he sells out. Yeah, I don't know that Steve Tisch is going to have and be associated with the Giants for very much longer.
The Rooney Rule is going to get another look here, Joe, because not a lot of minority coaches were hired during this last coaching cycle. And I always like to hear this. NFL owners want to win. They want to brag they have the best franchise here. So the equation of we're not going to hire a minority head coach because I don't like minorities and I'd rather lose and hire a white guy or somebody else is absolutely ridiculous to me, because otherwise, Joe, the league would be 95% white players and 5% minorities. We know that's not the case. Nobody's ever said as a free agent, we can't take this guy because he's a minority. We don't do the same thing with coaches. It's about winning football games. That's the bottom line. It doesn't matter who your coach is or who your players are. Players, coaches, owners, and fans just want to win, Joe. That's all they want.
That's it. And listen, I mean, it's obviously when you have $1 billion and you own a football team, you can decide how to run it any which way you want, right, Donnie? Now, if they find some sort of impropriety here from one of these owners of these teams, then by all means, I mean, bring the hammer down on them. But outside of that, I find it very hard to believe that these owners would not hire the best person available for that particular job at that time if it could win them football games.
Exactly. It's simple. Owners, everybody, they just want to win. It doesn't matter who gets hired at this point here. Sometimes you have better coaching cycles than others. It's just the way the world works at this point right now. Bill Belichick, how about this? He's got to feel better. Roger Goodell had his State of the Union, basically, press conference for the NFL yesterday and said, he'll eventually get in there. Oh, that's a relief.
Yeah, oh, wow. Okay, he'll eventually get in. All right, but that defeats the purpose here. He should have been in on the first go-around because not everyone goes in on the first go-around, Donnie, because those guys usually separate themselves from the pack because they were that instrumental in advancing the game. But apparently, Belichick's just like, yeah, I'll eventually get in. That's what he meant to the game of football, apparently.
Major League Baseball makes a lot of money, but it feels like they just can't get some of these regional right deals together, collapsing and upon themselves here. And you take a look at Main Street Sports, loses multiple Major League Baseball teams to the Major League Baseball Network, who's going to produce a lot of these individual teams' games here, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean the Yes Network.
Come
Anybody?
on.
I mean the Dodgers have their. I mean this is not. We're not reinventing the wheel. The fact that they
No.
all went in with Main Street and watched them all lose all of their money and have no money to pay any of these MLB teams. What did you think was going to happen? I just the writing was on the wall a long time ago when they signed this deal. And now they got to do what they should have done originally, was just create your own network like the big boys have been doing.
How about this? Drake May throwing okay in practice. No restrictions for the big game. That's what they're hoping in New England, Joe.
Shocker. Dude, who saw that coming 2 weeks before? Everybody's hurting this time of year, Donnie. He's going to be fine. One more game to go. There will be no limitations in his game.
James Harden took another personal day yesterday only to find out he doesn't want to play for the Clippers anymore. I can't figure out the NBA superstars sometimes, Joe. I just can't.
Apparently, he's run out of strippers and strip clubs in L.A., so he's off to Cleveland, is what the story is, Donnie. We'll see him as a Cleveland Cav, possibly.
Monopolies aren't good, and Fanatics has them right now on who wants to buy Super Bowl gear. Those jerseys look ridiculous as the patches are all over the place. And I've been to the past couple Super Bowls. You walk into the team store, you need to refinance your house just to buy a commemorative football and or jersey. Something has to change, but when there's a monopoly, nothing really can change at that point here. It's Donnie Wrights out. It's Joe Ranieri on a Tuesday. Hot Topics will continue. Why? Because it's what we do on the early line every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. SportsGrid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize.
We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on SportsGrid.
Stacking up wins to avoid a brutal matchup path, and when Giannis gets back full burst, they got to get him back on the floor and back on the floor healthy. The Bucs season won't be defined by the game Giannis misses. It'll be defined whether Milwaukee protects him from himself and gets him back in April, if he's still a part of the team.
Pro basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
David Tyree.
Oh, wow.
The 2008 Giants win against the New England Patriots, and the Tyree catch of the Plaxico Burress game-winning touchdown. That was the only other time in Super Bowl history where the betting public won money.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Spreadlines, baby, on a Tuesday morning, the hottest topics that you need to know and some of the games that are going to happen tonight and also, more importantly, on Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m., which is Super Bowl 60. And we'll start right there, Joe. Seattle taking on New England. Oh, look, the line opened up at 4.5. Still sits at 4.5. Hey, remember that big line movement from 46.5 to 45.5? Yep, still there at 45.5. We sit on a Tuesday waiting for that late week money to come into play, Joe. As of Tuesday for Super Bowl 60, what is your spread line?
Well, from what I'm hearing in the risk rooms, Donnie, the prop bets have certainly started to roll in here, and the handle on a whole bunch of them are really starting. They are anticipating that right around tomorrow or Thursday is when they're really anticipating the bigger bets, certainly the volume of bets to start to come in. But not a lot of these guys in those back rooms are convinced, Donnie, that we're going to get much more than what we're at still at 4.5 or 5, which seems to be pretty much cut in half across the board on the books, depending on what region that you are in. Now, obviously, it's a little shaded. The sports book on the East Coast, a little bit more shaded than what it is on the West Coast. But the reality is, if you're holding out for a 6, maybe a 6.5, it's not going to happen. And conversely, if you're hoping to get it down closer to a field goal, that likely is not going to happen either. So I think what you see right now, Donnie, continues to be what you get from a side, but they are convinced that total is going up. So if you like the over, bet it now, because it is likely going to be as low as it's going to get here before kickoff on Sunday.
Yep, once you get those good practice reports later in the week for both of these quarterbacks, maybe we see a change. And everybody typically likes to bet the over anyway, and that money will be flooding back in. We'll see if it gets back up to 46.5 or higher. College basketball action tonight. Undefeateds in the marketplace. We're headed to the back, and that's Miami, Ohio on the road to take on the Buffalo Bulls. -4.5 at the opening number. Now we're seeing that increase to 5.5 across the board and a total of 163.5. In the MAC, you take a look at the number one most efficient offense. It's Miami of Ohio. They love to get to the free throw line. They love to shoot the three-point shot, and they're incredibly efficient on the low blocks, Joe. Did you know? Number one in conference play, 65% inside the arc. You know who's terrible defending inside the arc? It's Buffalo. How about this, Joe? 5.5-point favorite on the road for Miami. What's that spread line?
Well, we saw this game, Donnie, a couple of weeks ago, and I started telling everyone about Miami of Ohio, and looking at the schedule, it felt like, well, there was one game left that they really, that was going to be the one thing holding them between going 31-0 and, of course, losing a game in the regular season. And that was this game, Buffalo. Buffalo took them to the wire, Donnie. You forget, took them to overtime, right? In that first matchup. That was at Miami of Ohio. This one is at Buffalo. And really, to me, this is the only game left that's going to be a real threat to Miami of Ohio. Now, listen, Buffalo went toe-to-toe with them. Can they do it again on their own home court? That was an extraordinarily good shooting game for Buffalo. They are not that good shooting of a team. I think Miami of Ohio, you're getting them at a discount because of that first go-around. I think, once again, Donnie, they handle business on their way to a 31-0 season.
Let's head down to Rocky Top here in the SEC tonight. Ole Miss on the road to take on Tennessee. This line is 11.5 across the board as a favorite towards Tennessee, and a total of 138.5. Neither one of these offenses are very good, but how about Tennessee? Turns it over more than any other team in the SEC, but very effective rebounding and very effective at getting to the line. Close to a 2-touchdown favorite here for Tennessee at home. Joe, what's that spread line versus Ole Miss?
Well, I looked at this line overnight, Donnie. It was 11.5, and it's kind of still 11.5. I thought we'd wake up this morning and we'd see a little bit more Tennessee Monday. Keeping in mind, this is the third of 4 straight road games for Ole Miss, thanks to that ice storm that completely shut down Oxford for the better part of a week now. They've had 3 different starting lineups. They're going to have a 4th now in this game. They have not figured it out, Ole Miss. Chris Beard, it has not been a good season. They're 1-8 against teams in the top 60 here of KenPom. And yeah, Tennessee coming in at number 18. Ole Miss could be in for a long day. I think there's going to be a lot of Tennessee money coming in expecting the blowout once again.
We got an NBA game tonight with a little bit of line drop this year. What I mean by that is the Denver Nuggets on the road to take on the Detroit Pistons. This line overnight had the Pistons favored by around 6 points. Now we're seeing 3.5 as low in the marketplace right now. Total listed at 228.5. Nuggets and the Pistons from Detroit tonight. What's that spread line for you, Joe?
Yeah, got a couple of all-stars in this one, right? Cade Cunningham making it first time as a starter, second straight. Jamal Murray, hard to believe that first time he has actually been to a all-star game here. But, they're starting to get a little healthier there, the Denver Nuggets. They still won't have Aaron Gordon, but Christian Braun likely back for this game, which means they're going to have their full complement of players. Questionable last night. I think the market is telling us this morning, Donnie, that it's less questionable now. They'll have just about everybody available for this one, except for Aaron Gordon, who might be a couple of more weeks, but that might be good enough to drop this line from where it opened, like you said, to where we are right now.
Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas tonight. The Boston Celtics are road favorite by 7.5 points and a total of 222.5. Celtics Mavericks from Dallas tonight, Joe. What's that spread line for you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm shocked this did not grow here, Donnie. I mean, this was 7.5, 8 last night. We wake up this morning. Usually we see the overnight love here for the Celtics, but they're not. And I think Cooper Flagg and that meltdown by Jason Kidd that we showed you yesterday, where, hey, I have played this game. I know what I'm doing. Well, he must know what he's doing, because Cooper Flagg, I mean, dropped 49 points on Thursday night against the Hornets, and then he followed it up with 34 during that 111-107 loss Saturday to the Rockets. He is rolling. This Mavericks team is rolling, and they seem to be a little annoyed. So maybe we should relook at this and go, maybe there's more money coming towards Dallas before this thing tips off here tonight.
10 games tonight in the association. The final game tonight's an 11 o'clock start between the Phoenix Suns and the Portland Trail Blazers. More NBA talk a little bit later in the show. We're going to get back to Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara. Donnie right side is Joe over here. It's the early line right here on the SportsGrid Network.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. SportsGrid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize.
We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on SportsGrid.
Stack enough wins to avoid a brutal matchup path, and when Giannis is back full burst, they got to get him back on the floor and back on the floor healthy. The Bucs season won't be defined by the game Giannis misses. It'll be defined whether Milwaukee protects him from himself and gets him back in April, if he's still a part of the team.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
David Tyree.
Oh, wow.
The 2008 Giants win against the New England Patriots, and the Tyree catch of the Plaxico Burst game-winning touchdown. That was the only other time in Super Bowl history where the betting public won money.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Super Bowl Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on a Sunday night. Ratings are going to be there. Of course, they're always there. Do you like both of these teams? Maybe not. Maybe you love both of these teams, but you will be watching this football game, Joe. And I always find it interesting to me. Like, you know what? Since it's a Sunday game, it's 6:30. So I would think for the biggest telecast in American sports every year, which is the Super Bowl, is 6:30 like that prime time slot that fits perfectly here? Because otherwise I ask, like, Joe, if 6:30 is such a valuable time spot, Like, why does Sunday Night Football play at 8:15? Can you answer that for me? Anybody?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting, right, Donnie? The numbers bear it out, right? I mean, it's not like we don't watch it all year long, every year, year after year. You and I know the petitions are out, Donnie, too. Like, turn it on to make it a Saturday night game, like make it anything other than where it is right now, which screws everybody up for the most watched program in the history of sports. It's kind of ridiculous at this point.
It is. It's just look. I don't mind the 6:30, and certainly I'll be up for it. The game's not going to be over too late for me not to watch it here. But I always find it interesting. Like if you have your biggest game of the year, you think the 6:30 time slot is perfect, but then yet again we start pro football on Sunday night weekly at around 8:30 as a start. Doesn't make any sense. It's not supposed to. They like to lose money. It's just the way it is. Well, let's get to the game this Sunday, Joe. 4.5 is a line as a favorite for Seattle, technically the road team here, and a total of 45.5. Where that sits right now, both of these quarterbacks, they're certainly going to come into play. Why? Ooh, Sam Darnold. How's that oblique healing up? Oh, no, Drake May's shoulder looks like it's going to be just A-okay at this point as we find ourselves with Drake May's passing prop, 220.5. Sam Darnold's 228.5. Are we worried at all, Joe? We'll ask you every day about these two quarterbacks and the health status come Sunday.
No, we're not worried about either. The oblique injury at this point, if it hadn't been a problem right after it happened, and he had to play against the 49ers and then had to do it again there in that last game against the Rams, then it's not going to be a problem 2 weeks later here against the Patriots. Now, listen, in-game, anybody can take a shot, and that's a different story. But going into this game, the idea that any of these guys are going to be incapable of doing what they've been doing all season long, I think is ridiculous. Sam Darnold will be good to go, and so will Drake May. Do not handicap this game based upon one guy being 50%, the other guy being 100%. I think they're both the same here at this point.
Was NFL opening night last night where the press got to ask the questions to the coaches and also to some of the players? Mike Vrabel was asked a funny question here. Let's see what it was.
Is this a must-win game?
A must-win? Yeah, I think every time we go out is a must-win game. I mean, it's kind of the attitude that I've always taken in the National Football League.
By the way, I would like to see some highlights because, Joe, last year we were in New Orleans in the Superdome. That place was popping for opening night between the Eagles and also the Kansas City Chiefs. Superstars all over the place, loud environment, bands playing. Looks like a little more subdued right there. And also, great question, is the Super Bowl must win for you there? Like, nah, you know what? Next year's preseason game number 1, we're looking forward to that one a little bit more, Joe.
Okay, so how does that guy get a press pass, honestly? And that was the question you showed up with. Is it a must-win game? You've made it to – he's a first-year coach and does the unthinkable by having the nerve to take the New England Patriots, who nobody gave a shot to the Super Bowl, and now you're asking him if it's a must. Donnie, I tell you, man, the media is not what it used to be, my friend. Unreal.
Those media people out here. But by the way, the media got a hold of Justin Jefferson to ask him a question, how he feels about the Super Bowl and Sam Darnold. So it's going to be tough to watch, but he loves the Super Bowl that Sam Darnold is going to play in it, and he's happy for him here. And he's like, man, I used to get the footballs a lot when I had Sammy D as my quarterback. I don't get too many footballs anymore.
Yeah. And then he's also Captain Obvious there, because then he went on to say that, yeah, I definitely think I would have had a better season and we would have had a better season with Sam Darnold as our quarterback. Really? Shocker. Nobody saw that. Yeah, of course you would have, because you had a great season last year and you went MIA this year with J.J. McCarthy. Not hard to figure out.
Joe, we love to take a look at some of these predictive markets, whether it's Polymarket or it's Kalshi here. And we do a great job on a show that airs weekly here over the weekends, and that's PME, Prediction Markets Edge. And by the way, you know, coming up this week, Joe, these type of topics will be coming to a show near you. 66% chance Chris Collinsworth says Patrick Mahomes during the Super Bowl 60 action on Polymarket. No shot, they say. He goes an entire Super Bowl without mentioning Mahomes. 66%, Joe. By the way, don't answer it now. I'm going to let the floor is yours once you get back from this commercial break. I think we can make some inroads on these type of markets, and we'll be right back.
You got to get on a bus. Then you got to get to the hotel. All right, you got to check into your room. You got to go through all this crap. It's like, yeah, it's done for you, but it's still not like you're still sitting there. You're still in traffic. Yeah, you're still like it's still 2 a.m. You still want to be in bed, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm on some highway in Calgary right now. It's 3:30 in the morning, and we're playing against the Canucks tomorrow. Right? Like, it's not as smooth as people always think.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. There's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of Daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Those new emerging markets that we love to take a look at in the Predictive Markets Show. And it used to be like, oh, they're going to show a fan in the stands or, some fun stuff in the offshore markets. Legalized betting here on what the announcers are actually going to say, Joe, could be very profitable for Super Bowl 60, huh?
Donnie, we have, it's unbelievable here. The amount of handle coming in on the prediction markets for what Tirico and Collinsworth will actually say, whether it's phrases or words. I was just saying here that right now, the idea of whether Tirico or Collinsworth says the name Taylor Swift, that market is anticipated to hit $8 million in handle, just whether or not they mention Taylor Swift's name on the broadcast. We saw it, I think it was Nance and Romo, if they said the word honor during the AFC title game. There was over $500,000 on whether or not that word would be used. Now they're close to $50 million in handle just on the words or phrases that'll be said during this broadcast.
All right, let's bring up this graphic because it's a very important graphic to let you know who the best quarterbacks of all time apparently are and which team actually produces the best quarterbacks of all time. The highest graded quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Number 1, it's Nick Foles. Number 2 is Jalen Hurts. And if you even go down to the bottom of that screen here, still another game with Jalen Hurts. So based on that, I see Eli Manning on there once, Jalen Hurts twice. Does that mean Jalen Hurts is already automatically should be a Hall of Famer before Eli Manning ever gets in, Joe? I want to answer that question.
That's the highest graded. So for during the Super Bowl game, right? So you're talking about that particular game. Nobody graded out better than Nick Foles.
Nobody.
In any Super Bowl. Wow. Well, then he's a first ballot Hall of Famer then, right? Because
see that?
That's got to go. We got to be in. As a matter of fact, they should change the rule just to put him in right now.
The cradle of coaches. And by the way, give me the wide shot for me in this because I just want to show some people where it actually matters in the DRS house. So let me just slide out to the left. See this one right here? This was provided by Nick Foles. And as you see, 92.3 was his quarterback rating in that Super Bowl. This one right here, that was Mr. Jalen Hurts there, a 92.2. 2 Super Bowl trophies in the last decade for the Philadelphia Eagles. Giants, where are you at? I don't know. Washington Commanders, where are you at? I don't know. Dallas Cowboys, where are you at? I don't know. The Eagles are the best team in professional sports. 3 Super Bowl appearances in 10 years here. Doesn't get any better than that. I thought the people should know about how important Super Bowl trophies are and where they come from and how those quarterbacks are highly graded, which are Philadelphia Eagles. So apparently those 2 Super Bowl trophies in my background, Joe, the 2 most important Super Bowl trophies in the history of the Lombardi trophies. But how about this, Joe? We sort of go over things like, how about making a Super Bowl if you were an assisting coach here? And also, what does that mean for being an actual Hall of Famer? Josh McDaniels, he's going to coach in his 10th Super Bowl. 10th. How about that, Joe?
I'm sorry, Donnie. I'm as a Jet fan, I'm looking for
10.
where I placed my Super Bowl trophies.
Where's
hold
Broadway
on.
Joe? Where's
No,
Broadway
I
Joe?
think I've been robbed, Donnie. I think I've been robbed. I can't find my Jet Super. What's that? What? Oh, we don't have one. That's why. Okay.
Mark
yeah, Donnie.
has it.
Yeah, shocker. Thanks for letting me know that, guys. I will say, I will say this: coaching matters, Donnie, in these games. And Vrabel, from a player perspective, as the head coach, and by the way, a second go around as a head coach. This is not, he's been doing this a while. And you just said it. Josh McDaniel had been there and done his 10. You can't tell me and I'm not taking anything away from McDonald and what Kubiak have done. It's great. But when you get to this game at this moment in the season, experience matters. And the coaching staff, you can't tell me there's not an edge here for the New England Patriots.
Those Patriots, we'll see if they can win. But by the way, line's not moving, Joe. Only 30% tickets coming in on New England because everybody loves Seattle. We'll see where that line is at the end of the week. Let's take a look at this. You want money? You got money. You want a 30-second ad? Give me $10 million. NBC Universal has sold, Joe, a handful of 30-second Super Bowl ads for $10 million or more. Goodness, man. Woo.
Yeah, but Kalshi and Polymarket can't spend $10 million on an ad. They're not allowed to advertise there on the Super Bowl. But, I mean, at this point, it almost feels like Keeping Up with the Joneses, like every year. Like, how do you, if you're a big company, how are you not spending the $10 million for a 30-second ad? Like, you don't have a choice, Donnie, because everyone else is going to do it. And truly, Donnie, over the years, how many the next day, the next week, and how many of those commercials do you honestly remember?
None, except for like Ali Landry's Doritos commercials back in the day. Like, that's basically all you remember. Or maybe like those Bud Light ads where they would play the football game, Bud Light versus Budweiser. Exactly, the what's up, guys. Like, some were legendary, some were just a waste of money that you spend here. Let's get to another one. I feel like it's an Eli Manning bashing day like it is every day since we're talking about him not making the Hall of Fame. Let's put up since Eli Manning is so clutch in the playoffs, let's put up the top 10 most playoff passing yards and see who has them, Joe. Oh, Tom Brady's there. Oh, his brother Peyton Manning's there. Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, Brett Favre, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Montana, Drew Brees, John Elway, and Dan Marino. Eli Manning is not in there, a 500 quarterback who doesn't really have a lot of success outside of the Super Bowl throwing jump passes and getting lucky. Not on that list, Joe. Doesn't surprise me. Tom Brady, 13,000. That's an NFL career for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, yeah, no kidding. But, when you're in it, it feels like every year for like a decade and a half. You tend to rack up the stats, Donnie, don't you? But Peyton is interesting. Peyton's got... He's on that list, as is what? Aaron Rodgers, too, huh? That's interesting, the top 3.
Big Ben, even Dan Marino. They didn't play that many. They didn't actually play that many playoff games back in the day with the expansion of the wild card being now. He still had 4,500 yards. Elway's on there, Breeze. A lot of the greats on there. Eli Manning not on there because why? It's not one of the greats. Let's keep it moving right now. Jim Schwartz, Browns press conference. I didn't see this show. Give me this clip. Come on.
In the Midwest, it's you want to coach where fans are passionate. I've been very fortunate in Philadelphia. Okay, check. We had that. Detroit, yes. Buffalo. I've had some great stops that way. Tennessee. So you embrace that part of it, and I think that's that's an important part of our process, and that's an important part of what the organization goes through. And I feel a tremendous amount of responsibility to the fans here to get this right and to reward them because, I'll forget most plays of the Super Bowl that I was with the Eagles. I'll forget just about every play in that game. But what I won't forget is that parade afterwards. It's indelible in my mind. I'll never forget it. And in my mind, there's only one place that would outdo that parade in Philadelphia. And we're here right now. So I'm really excited about getting to work. And it's an honor to have Dino look over this proceeding, too. So thanks, guys.
There you go, Jim Schwartz saying what everybody says. There's no better place to be than in Philadelphia. That's what I took out of this press conference. What a day here on the show. What a day.
I just something tells me like he wanted to be anywhere but there at that moment doing that press conference. Just simply because he's going to take the money, make no mistake about it. But he knows, as you and I know, Donnie, the chance of him having a parade in Cleveland like that, like they had it, not going to happen. And count your lucky stars. You're not the one overseeing it, though. That's what I'll say, Jim.
How about this? Well, he could be saying, you know what, there might no better be place than Cleveland to win. How about winning in Paris? Because the NFL is going to have a game in Paris, France show. And also, do you know what else that means? The NFL has confirmed a record 8-game international schedule for 2026. Madrid, Munich, Rio, 3 games in London, Paris, and Australia. As the young kids like to say, we're doing too much here, Joe.
No, I love it. And I love the first game they're sending to France is the Browns and Saints. I mean, enjoy it, France. You want to see what the NFL has to offer? Here's the Browns and Saints.
Oh, my God. I can't wait to see how many ice skating rinks these players are going to be playing on for those games here. We'll be right back after this quick break.
You got to get on a bus. Then you got to get to the hotel, all right? You got to check into your room. You got to go through all this crap. It's like, yeah, it's done for you, but it's still not like you're still sitting there. You're still in traffic. Yeah, you're still like, it's still 2 a.m. You still want to be in bed, right? You're like, oh, my God, I'm on some highway in Calgary right now. It's 3:30 in the morning, and we're playing against the Canucks tomorrow, right? Like, it's not as smooth as people always think.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
We talk about great jobs to have, right? When you take a look at the Tennessee Titans, just being a head coach in the NFL is really good stuff because you get paid a lot of money. Maybe it's not a great franchise, but what if I would tell you that an NFL coach that's been around the block and a head coach and probably has plenty of money signs on to be the DC for the Tennessee Titans? You know who that would be? That's Gus Bradley. Now, Gus Bradley is the defensive coordinator now of the Tennessee Titans, but not going to call plays, Joe. Imagine getting a few $1 million a year without a lot of pressure on game days. Sounds like a great retirement job, no?
It is, but I mean, it's interesting what Salah's doing here and the guys that he is surrounding himself with for this second go around, right? When you look at how it went with the Jets, his first, head coaching gig there, kind of raw still, didn't work out well, but now he is surrounding himself with former head coach Brian Dable for the OC. And now he is bringing another former head coach and Gus Bradley over. Don't forget, I mean, he has been around the league. He's one of the more well-respected defensive guys. He was with him in the 49ers last season. In fact, he was in charge of the red zone defense aspect of the Niners, who, listen, all the injuries, they weren't great, but they were 12th in the league in preventing touchdowns in the red zone. So there's obviously a trust going on there, even though Salah's going to oversee it and call it. Gus Bradley obviously has the experience with Salah to know exactly what he's looking to do. He has surrounded himself here with some pretty good coaching resumes here in Tennessee. So he's not going the young tree, never been there, done it before kind of thing. He's going with a lot of experience his first year in Tennessee.
It's Nashville. Let's flip it over to the other side of the state here, and we'll talk about Rocky Top in Knoxville. How about Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar suing the NCAA in Knox County for a 6th year of eligibility? Joe, I remember back in the day, it was like, okay, kid, you're going off to college. You got 5 years to play for, and you can take a red shirt there, which you can be included in those 5 years. If you transfer, you get to sit out, and maybe you burn the red shirt that way. But you got 5 years to play for. Enjoy your time in school. And now we're like, nah, bro, 6, 7, and 8 years. I want to play football. It's my right.
Donnie, listen, I mean, I can't blame these players for doing what they're doing. Because had this been available, this kind of money available to these guys that are, now all of a sudden running out of time in a college career, I would be doing everything I possibly could to try to get that bag one more time. And he would get, we're talking millions, Donnie. If he was to get eligible one more year, come back to Tennessee, they would give him millions of dollars. I don't blame these players for doing it. But I do blame the NCAA for allowing it to get to this point where guys that are 25 years old who have played 6 years in college should now somehow be allowed to come back and get one more bag before it's all said and done.
When I was playing college football, Joe, my senior year, I turned 22 years old, and I felt like an old man. Like a lot of these guys, 24, 25, 26, playing with 17 and 18-year-olds is never going to not hit home. Like, man, you're an old man. It's just time to move on. I'll tell you who doesn't want to move on at this point. It's Sean McVay saying, boy, I'm expecting Devontae Adams to come back with my guys Puka Nacua and also Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I thought maybe he'd consider, nope, apparently not. Don't forget, a couple of years ago, remember we knew with McVay, we were wondering whether or not he was going to come back. Aaron Donald retired, and maybe he was just like, you know what, maybe I just want to, I'm done with this, but he got Stafford to return, and now all of a sudden, well, he just signed that extension. He is good to go. Now the question is Stafford good to go to come back and give it one more shot? That window of opportunity for them, Donnie, though, is a lot of young talent on that team. So I think it's a good move by the Rams, and I think it's a great move by McVay because he's not going to have to start from scratch anytime soon there.
And by the way, McVay also got extensions along with their general manager, and rightfully so. Good organization, yes. Championship or bust. That's the way they play it out. However, in Buffalo, Brandon Beane didn't do a very good job, fired his head coach, and actually got promoted in the front office, and now he's telling the fans to blankety blank right now at this point right now. Not a great look, and you'll probably be fired within the next 16 months, Brandon, so it'll be okay.
Yeah, that's great. So you got Bills Mafia with nothing to do except shovel their way out of their homes right now and be angry at the way you handled the situation. And you want to instigate the good luck. Bean, let's see how that works out for you here. Let's see if we can find a prediction market on how long before he's fired, Donnie.
Should be tremendous there. Let's flip it over to the NBA, get some news and notes here. And also, how about this? Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets talking about his merry partnership right now.
Similar but different paths, of course. And then we start playing together, and we both make each other's game better and easier. So I wouldn't change him. I wouldn't change him for anybody. So he's whenever I say who is my top 5 of my career, he's definitely number 1. So it's we have a great relationship on the court. It's so many good moments, bad moments too. But that's what creates good moments. So it's a pleasure to have him over there.
He said that you guys never fight.
No, because one guy is always mad and one guy is not, and so we balance each other.
Who's mad more?
Depends, depends.
Yeah.
There's Nikola Jokic talking about his boy there. Maybe they can make a run into the finals, Joe. But no thoughts of trading Nikola Jokic at this point, but our thoughts for the Bucks of trading Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're actively, Joe, going back and forth with other teams looking for trade partners to match up and ship him out by the trade deadline, huh?
Yeah, it's and for everything we're hearing right now, it's kind of the teams that we thought, and there's going to have to be multiple teams involved, Donnie, like we said. But right now, the Heat are very serious. I can tell you from what we're hearing down here that the Miami Heat are at the top of the list. Golden State, Minnesota is also pursuing him in a big way, and so are the New York Knicks. I think the Knicks have the least chance of getting him, but it's going to be interesting to see. I think we can all agree he's likely played his last game in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform, though.
We're dropping, Joe. We take a look on January the 28th, 75.6% on the Kalshi marketplace that he stays in Milwaukee or retires.
Ooh.
Fast forward to today, we are down to 38% where he stays with Milwaukee, Joe, or retires. You know who's gaining that steam up 22% as a chance? It's Miami, people. Trade deadline's coming up. We'll keep you posted on everything you need to know. Let's keep it with the NBA. More hot topics coming up next.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So yeah, so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show with.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, you know, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
How could you tell the story of baseball without Clemens, Rose, and Bonds? You don't have a Hall of Fame if you don't have those three dudes. Sills, you know what, man? These guys took steroids. There wasn't a steroid test and a PED test in Major League Baseball at the time. Do you understand this?
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
FBI closed in on Terry Rozier and his boys. Why? Because they found irregular betting patterns that they believe Terry Rozier is actively tanking games, and based on the information provided, allegedly looked like he was absolutely doing that. So what does the NBA do? Well, Terry Rozier will now be paid his full $26.6 million salary this season after winning a grievance against the NBA. So now you can be actively, and here's the part I want to bring up. Guilty or not guilty, we will find out. But if you are in the NBA and everything points to you and your crew is actively tanking games and betting illegally here, the least scenario would be is let's wait till we have a complete resolution here. We'll keep all your money piled up on one side, but you're not getting it here. If you're proven innocent, we will pay you with interest on that money and gladly give it to you. If you are guilty, you're not getting that money. So does this mean, Joe, he gets paid his $26.6 million, which they won't let him anywhere near the court now? And then if he's found guilty, does he give that money back, or they go, no, who cares if he was actively tanking NBA games? He still deserves to get paid?
Well, the worst part about this, Donnie, is that the accusations are not from his time on Miami. They were from when he was with Charlotte. So, but Charlotte's not paying on the hook for what is going on. Miami is now for some reason.
Yeah.
And the arbitrator also said the NBA cannot put him on unpaid leave. So basically, that's what they did. They suspended him, put him on unpaid leave. Everything stopped for Terry Rozier. $26.6 million salary, right? But now the arbitrator says, yeah, no, that can't happen. So now Miami has to pay this guy, even though he's not allowed to play, apparently. But they can't hold anything against him until it's all said and done. So Miami is being penalized, Rozier's contract here, for something he had nothing to do with the Miami Heat.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how that works out. But the trade deadline is coming up this week. And, of course, we're going to talk Giannis Antetokounmpo. But I saw an interesting one yesterday pop up early in the day where James Harden was taking another personal day, which he seems to have a lot of those racked up over his years in the NBA. It's like, well, that's an interesting one. And the Philadelphia 76ers were playing the Clippers awful day back-to-back. And the Sixers jumped on the Clippers easily in the first quarter, Joe, 38-19 on their way to a double-digit victory, 128-113, only to find out this morning that James Harden's like, yeah, I'm not even in town. I don't want to play for the Clippers. I have no idea why he doesn't want to play for the Clippers, and I want out of town. Only in the NBA, it feels like you could just disappear in the night and reappear and go like, yeah, I just don't feel like playing for my team anymore. It's all good.
I don't get why, Donnie. It makes no sense, right? Because, I mean, they started out 6-21 on the season. I get, then if we were hearing Harden won out, that wouldn't surprise me. But since then, I mean, they've won 17 of their last 21 games. They're now 9th in the Western Conference. I don't know what is the problem here, but now we're hearing that he might be working his way to Cleveland, and in return, we're looking at the Clippers getting Garland back in that spot. But the problem is Garland can't stay healthy. So he would be great if he was healthy, but he's not healthy, and that's the other problem here. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But him not being there the last two nights for personal reasons, now we know what the personal reason was.
Yep, maybe it's some personal reasons in college basketball as well, Joe. Talking about Syracuse and Carmelo Anthony went there and won a championship. His son is there now. It's kind of upset in the program there after a double-digit loss on the road last night to UNC.
Yeah, again, not good for Syracuse. Although I'll give them credit. I mean, they did make it a game in the second half, and it also looked like North Carolina took their foot off the gas after they were up big after the first half. But they made an effort off it. But unfortunately, it's just a bad season has gotten worse, and it's not the Boeheim Syracuse Orangemen of old. That is for sure, Donnie.
And also, put up that John Rawlstein tweet once again. And sometimes it's not better just to take paychecks here and figure it's going to improve your athletics department. Syracuse in the ACC regular season game since joining the conference in 2013, 120-114. Basically 50% win clip for Syracuse in conference play. Before that, when they were in the Big East, 136-68 in its final 12 years in the old Big East. Close to 67%. I bet you they wish they were back in the Big East being able to actually compete. And it's not what you're saying now. Like, the ACC was a much more dominant conference 10 years ago than it was now, Joe. Yep. So Syracuse not being able to compete in this ACC, that's embarrassing.
It very embarrassing. Listen, every team, but it's not. Duke doesn't seem to be taking a step back anytime soon, right? So what's the problem here? Virginia also seems to be very much alive and well. What's your problem, Syracuse?
What's your problem, Hughes? Get back to the Big East. We're headed over to hour number 2 next with the early line right here on the Sports Grid Network.